In Ozzie Newsome's last draft as the general manager of the Baltimore Ravens, he made some bold moves in this draft. And the biggest bold move of them all was getting Lamar Jackson, 32nd overall, to potentially push the Joe Flacco era right out of Baltimore. Lamar Jackson at 32nd overall. I love Lamar Jackson. I think he can be a star quarterback in this league. I think he has all the tools to be a stud in this league. And really, as a Patriots fan, I was looking for my team to draft Lamar Jackson. But the Baltimore Ravens end up with him, and they were even thinking about picking him 16th overall. So not only do they trade back from 16th overall, acquire some more assets in the process, but they still get their guy at 32. So there's a lot to be said about that in this draft for the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson, a stud. I think his accuracy issues are way overblown. He has a great arm. He has the ability to rip it down the field. And even like a QB whisperer like Bruce Arians said this guy was going to be an excellent quarterback at the next level. And he's just a unique athlete that can make plays with his legs like no one since Michael Vick. Then you have Hayden Hurst in the first round at 25th overall. To me, the best tight end in the draft, the most complete tight end, and a guy that sort of reminds me a little bit of Travis Kelce, Greg Olsen mix. Just a guy that I think trade down to this spot, get Hayden Hurst, get Lamar Jackson. So you got those two players. You get your tight end for your future quarterback. You get a tight end that can come in and help Joe Flacco right now. And then you go back in the third round, you get another tight end in Mark Andrews, who I really like. Mark Andrews is a guy that's a complete tight end to me, a player that has a lot of skills that I think will transfer to the next level. Very good route runner, and I really like Mark Andrews. He was probably one of the sneaky tight ends in this draft, and I felt like he got a little bit underrated because of all the other tight ends that were thought about in the second round. But Mark Andrews was the go-to guy for Baker Mayfield, and I think he will be actually a good tight end in the NFL draft. Orlando from the NFL draft and in the NFL, and then Orlando Brown in the third round. I think he could be good. Now, he had a terrible combine, but we've seen that Baltimore's taken chances on guys with a bad combine in the past, like a Terrell Suggs, and we know how that worked out. Orlando Brown's film looks excellent, though. So maybe it's just a process of he's not a very good athlete, but when you put him on a football field, he's a really good player. So, and you look at Baltimore, and they do sort of need needs on the offensive line. So that was a good pick. You get a future quarterback, two tight ends that really help this offense. Because you think about the past of the Baltimore Ravens, and they've had the Todd Heaps and the Owen Daniels and the Dennis Pittas, and these guys have been main fixtures of their offense. You have two tight ends now that can do that. You get a quarterback that will be unique and a leader for the future. You have an offensive tackle that might protect that quarterback in the future. And Anthony Everett from Bama is a pretty good corner. Maybe dropped a little bit in the draft because of his speed at the combine, but he has limited, strength. He's lengthy. He's lanky, sorry. I think this is a guy that Anthony Everett can be a good player, and he'll have a lot of time to develop. They have some good corners in Baltimore. He's just going to be added as a depth piece as their fourth corner. We'll see if he works out. But if being from Alabama, maybe he'll work out, maybe he won't. Then you have Kenny Young, inside linebacker, fourth round from UCLA. Another guy that just adds depth to this linebacker position that really, besides Mosley in the interior linebacker position and in the inside linebacker position, you don't have a ton there. So, I don't mind the pick of Kenny Young. You add a couple of receivers to that receiver depth chart. Deshaun Elliott, strong safety from Texas. Another guy that a little bit older. Your safeties in Baltimore, Eric Weddle, Jefferson's getting up there. So adding Elliott doesn't hurt. Then you add a couple more offensive linemen. So I really feel like the Ravens did a good job in this draft. I really do like their first 4 picks in this year's draft, and I think that says a lot. So, you get a Lamar Jackson. I loved that pick. Hayden Hurst and Mark Andrews will be a good tight end combination for years to come. You get an Orlando Brown who could turn into being a stud tackle. And you get a lot of depth players for your secondary, your linebacking core, your receiver core, your secondary, and your offensive line. So that sounds good to me. The Baltimore Ravens, a team that, they have a great coaching staff. I think that they could be okay this year. We'll see how it works out. But I think this draft was more about the future, and I think they did a good job here in Ozzie Newsome's last draft as a Baltimore Raven.